trillion-dollar coin. What is that? I don't know if you've heard of it. You've heard talks of it, and it's been in the news in and out. Not a lot. It's kept more under the radar. But I believe the first time it was introduced was 2011. A trillion-dollar coin is sort of a coin that's supposed to be made out of platinum. Congress has already delegated to the Treasury all the authority and power it needs to mint a $1 trillion coin, but it must be made of platinum. So that's restriction that they put on it themselves, or the mint, or whatever you want to call it. A $1 trillion coin is a concept that emerged during the United States debt ceiling, quote-unquote, crisis of 2011. It's a proposed way to bypass any necessity for the United States Congress to raise the country's borrowing limit through the minting of a very high value platinum coin or coins. So that sounds crazy to me, and if you want to just do a lateral move, think of what happened with President Woodrow Wilson back in the day. $100,000 bill was printed, and more than just one, it was made. So it was paper, it was roughly the same size as all the fiat currency that we have had, and same color basically. It was green with the back that was a little different color, and it was printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing from 1934 to 1935. It was not intended for general use, and it was only to be used as an accounting device between branches of the Federal Reserve. So that if it's only to be used between branches of the Federal Reserve and not to be used by the regular population, the standard population, the citizens, whatever you want to call it, then what was the reason for it? What was the reason for its existence? And it was the same paper, the same ink, just had a different denomination on it. And if you think of it and give it a little bit of thought, then you're like, well, how is that worth $100,000 for each one of those pieces of paper? How does that have value, that real value to it? Well, how it is, and how they do it, how it's done, is they print more and more and more, or they'll claim this is valued at this amount, so hence that means everything else out there that exists worth that much less. Nominally, it has the same number on it, but it can purchase that much less. It has that much less purchasing power. So basically the same thing as the $1 trillion coin. That would have the same sort of deal. So platinum has a value to it, like silver and gold, that kind of stuff. It's a precious metal. So it has a value to it. And like this says here, in 1997, Congress passed legislation to allow the U.S. Mint to create platinum coins of any denomination, including 1 trillion to 31 trillion. Explained, that's what it was explained while an associate professor of finance at the University of Mexico. He was explaining this. The purpose was to help the mint generate revenue from coin collectors and to alleviate some pressures in how the currency, or how the country's doing financially. This is all that, for the most part. So it wasn't perceived at the time as being, it wasn't perceived at the time of being a workaround the debt ceiling crisis, but it turned out to be. So that's what it's turned out to be, is that maybe it's a workaround this debt ceiling crisis, or just the debt crisis itself. So it doesn't take care of anything, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't create anything. All it does is create some sort of psyop, some sort of deal, some sort of movie, if you will.
Good morning, Agent Johnson. The film you're about to see is top secret and contains adult situations. In 1945, the people of Europe struggled to rebuild following the war.
Loser. Shut up, Simpson.
To ease this crisis, President Truman promised relief.
American tax dollars will help our allies who fought so poorly and surrendered so readily.
To make good on this drunken boast, Truman authorized the one-time printing of the largest denomination currency ever, a $1 trillion bill.
Ooh, $1 trillion bill.
To say, hey, this is what's happening, so we're really concerned and we're really tackling this. We're really tackling it right now. So all you citizens, all you countrymen, all you people in the population, 99.5% of you that may worry, don't worry. We got it covered. We're going to do this. And people have been indoctrinated. They don't understand money. They don't understand currency. They don't understand finances at all. So they're like, well, that makes sense. Okay, then everything's taken care of. Everything's great. Same sense as this debt ceiling. I'll do another little video on the debt ceiling because that's been the hottest topic nowadays, how that got suspended. But anyways, I'll look for that too. So anyways, this whole thing, they have this platinum. So if it's, let's say it's 1 ounce, they do 1 ounce. Well, what's platinum valued at an ounce? So it's just over $1,000. All right. So right now, the value of $1,000, or excuse me, the value of a 1 ounce platinum coin or 1 ounce bar, or whatever it is, the value of it is just over $1,000. But if you have the mint do it and puts a dead president on it or something else and an animal on the backside, maybe it's an eagle, maybe it's buffalo, maybe it's whatever it is, and then stamps on there or engraves on there $1 trillion, now it's supposedly worth $1 trillion, which really, the real value of it is no more than just over $1,000, the value of the asset, the metal, the actual physical item itself. Sort of similar to, I got a few of these things here. But this is a silver eagle. All right, these have been pretty hot lately, and the premium on them above the spot price is tremendous. It's so high because they're just in demand. All right, this is 1 ounce silver. 1 ounce of silver. On it, this is minted from the United States of America. On the back side, I believe, it says $1. So in this bottom corner here, you can see it says $1. Try to get that focused in here somewhat. If I can get it. It says $1. All right. Well, this is a 1 ounce silver, troy ounce silver. The mel value of this is right around $34. Just the silver itself, let alone the price of the premiums on top, because of the demand of these. You can't find these for less than $40 right now for 1 ounce of this. But on the front of it, it says $1. It says $1. All right, so that same sort of deal with another mint. It's a Canadian mint. This one here is a 1/4 ounce gold. All right, 1/4 ounce gold coin. And if I can find this, it's a little smaller. On the back side, or excuse me, the front side, it says $10. All right, the bottom corner there, I don't know if you can see it. Maybe not. Maybe I can pull one off the internet to show you a better close-up of it. But it says $10. So this 1/4 ounce of gold is $10. That's what it says. Well, if anyone knows anything about this or follows this, a 1 ounce gold coin, maybe it's a maple leaf, maybe it's a silver eagle, whatever, or just 1 ounce of the gold is going to be close to $2,000. It's like 1960 or something, somewhere around there right now. So this 1/4 ounce technically should be $500 value to itself, just because of the gold value in it. But on the face of it, it says $10. $10. So, and no one believes that. I mean, anyone who deals in this stuff and actually knows the real value of these real assets and the real things, gold, silver, that kind of stuff, land, all this stuff. The real assets, people know the real value to them. It doesn't matter what's stamped on them. It doesn't matter what the government puts on there. It doesn't matter what the Federal Reserve puts on there. It doesn't matter. In reality, it doesn't matter. So they can print all this paper they want and call them $500,000 bills, $1 bills, $100 bills, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's not the real value. The value of it is nil. It's non-existent. It's ink on a piece of paper. But you've got the country and you've got the citizenry, you've got everyone convinced indoctrinated. You got them to believe this has real value to it. Well, it might have real value to it just as a tool, a currency kind of deal if people all agree on it. But now, as you can see, over and over, less and less countries are backing it. So it's become more and more of an issue, and that is what it's going to be the trigger to hyperinflation. And from there, that's how countries fall. I mean, that's how their standing falls, and that's how all the people in it, all the population suffers tremendously. Talking about Great Depression, we're talking about Great Depression times 10. So I just want people to think about that, because this talk about this $1 trillion coin is yet again, I mean, even Biden talked about it.
Sir, there's other proposals like prioritization of payments and minting the coin. Can you speak to whether either of those have been studied by your staff?
No, I can't, because I don't think anybody studied the minting of the coin issue. But there have been discussions about whether or not the 14th Amendment.
And I know they only say so much in public, a lot less than what's said behind closed doors. And it really doesn't matter. R or D, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. They're on the same team, and the team is against the citizens at all times. To better themselves, better their families, better their loved ones, better who they're a slave to, better to who they're answering to, but everyone else remains slaves. Might make them feel comfortable at times, to give them a little bit of quote-unquote freedom, so they got some sort of a false reality where this is the way it is and you're fighting for us, which in reality it's really not that. They're doing whatever they can to take everything away from us. Just like back in the day, this is a $half. This is a 50-cent piece. This was 90% silver at one time, all right? And this quarter here, this is just a quarter, your standard Washington quarter. This here, this is pre-64, this is 64 or older. This is 90% silver. It had value at one time. Right now, if you have five of these, 64 or older quarters, you're looking at, you got over $25. Easily. Just the value of the silver itself. So if they allow the citizens to trade and barter and use this for the currency, use stuff with real value to the currency, then it's staying within the population, staying in the system, and staying with the citizens, if you want to call them that. Then the ruling class, the politicians, the banksters, the central bank, all that stuff, the elites don't have all that stuff because it's out in the open, it's out in the population, and it's being used, traded with, bartered with, that kind of stuff. So they got to get it out of there. They got to pull it and start doing the, I don't have a nowadays quarter to show you, and start printing or minting stuff that has no real value to it, no intrinsic value to it. There's no silver in it. There's no real value. There's no copper in the pennies anymore. There's no nickel in the nickels. There's no silver in these things that used to have real value to them. And why is that? That's because they're taking all of the assets, all of the hard valued stuff, all of the things that are needed for survival away from the population so they can accumulate and take that all for themselves as they become bigger and bigger and richer and richer and better and better. I mean, that in a nutshell, that's what it is. The same thing with, the dimes. I got a dime here too. That'd be the same. This was the same thing. This is 90% silver. This one here, and you can't be hard pressed to find this to buy anywhere for less than probably $3 nowadays. $2. You'd be very lucky to find this for $2. 90% silver, dime. That's it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Except taking it all away. So I just want one more thing on this. So that Silver Eagle that I talked about, it's right here. All right, this is the newer one. It's in better shape. It's been cared for, that kind of stuff. This is one that I keep in my pocket at all times, for the most part. All right, this is also Silver Eagle. This one's from 2004, and the other one I showed you was what's it saying here? 2014, that cleaner one. 2014. This one's 2004, but this one is pretty trashed. I mean, it's pretty dirty. It looks like it was maybe cleaned at one time. It's been through everywhere it's seen better days. But all in all, this is still 1 ounce of silver. It still has at least the value of the melt, like $24. At least has that value to it, $24. And that's not just because that's what everyone recognizes it. That's what the real value is of it. So we're exchanging and using these things like this constitutional silver, they called it, or junk silver, pre-1964 or older. 90% silver is what it all was. They had real value to them, and people could hold those and use those. And when they worked for something real. They got paid in something real. Nowadays, you get paid in the equivalent of cash, which is just paper, ink on paper, like I said. And with that, at least there was some sort of privacy to it. Some sort of, you had some sort of freedom for the most part. But nowadays, everything's basically digits, and that's what they're trying to push everything to, is a cashless society in digits. So now people are working, and they're working for their life for digits. Nothing with real value to it whatsoever at all. Unlike when you're working, you got your paycheck, you went to the bank, and you cashed it, and maybe some of the stuff you got was this 90% silver. And this had real intrinsic value, real value to it. So right now you can still use the digits, you can still use the cash to buy precious metals. You can still buy gold, you can still buy silver. I fear that's going to be going away. It's going to be a lot tougher. Sooner than I want to think about it, but I think that's going to be tougher to get. Right now you still can, so I encourage everyone to go out there and do it. That, along with land, other assets that you might need. We got food, seeds, all that kind of stuff. Water, access, everything. So I'm just saying this because I read across this story again. I'm like, I just got to get this out there because it's that ridiculous that they're talking about if we make this platinum coin, and it doesn't matter how big it is. There wasn't even some here that said, they talked about it doesn't need to be rolled in, it doesn't need to be anything of huge size to it. It all depends. It could be the size of a nickel, was a comment. The only thing that matters is what we stamp on it or what we engrave in it. And that's what will give it the value. And that in itself should make everyone realize how much of a Ponzi scheme this is. The US dollars, all the other fiat currencies that are around, the 401ks, the IRS in itself is nothing but a theft mechanism. That's all it is. And you got your retirement accounts. You got all this stuff. The whole Social Security system itself is nothing but a Ponzi scheme. And I think some people realize that, but until something happens, a trigger happens, some sort of wrench gets in the system, and it's going to cause a lot of pain. I don't wish a lot of pain on anybody, but we need something to change, and without that pain, nothing's going to change because people just go along and it's fine now. I'm not saying this for anything other than just get people aware of and look at what's really going on, because why are they talking about this again now? I believe it's ridiculous, but that's just my opinion. As always, I thank you for watching this. If you like this, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And as always, stay vigilant, protect yourself, protect your family, protect your health, protect your life.